Hello there, we are talking about macronutrients today. So, the big three. So, obviously, before I carry on, make sure you are subscribed, make sure you like this video if you find it helpful, and you can access my fat loss guide below. You can also access the 5 days free forge, which starts on 23rd of March. So, let's begin. So, we have three different macronutrients that we typically see. All right, you have protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So protein is vital for muscle retention, health, hormone balance, appetite regulation because it has a higher thermo effect of food. With carbohydrates, which is your initial energy sources, if you are wanting to train at high intensity like we want with our weight training, maybe when you're doing your running, like beyond a point, you are going to have to use carbohydrates to use that. And it's really good because it provides fiber, which is good for gut and bowel health. And then you've got fats, which everybody seems scared of. And fats are more essential than carbohydrates because they allow hormone balance, they retain vitamins for us. They are basically our nervous system and our brain is just a big ball of fat. So it helps with both the neural activity and the neural health. They taste fucking fantastic and they're great for immunity and helping us store insulation as well, so we don't get as cold. As for energy, protein averages at 4 calories per gram. Each amino acid has a different calorie value, but it averages out at 4. And we want to be aiming for 1.5 to 2 grams per kilo. Carbohydrates are 4 calories per gram as well, unless you have fiber, which is 2. And fats are 9 calories per gram. Fats, you want about 20 to 25% of your total calories as fats. Carbohydrates is just the rest, what you haven't used with protein and fats. That's typically how I would program a client to start with. Protein to start with. So protein has the higher thermo effect of food. So if we look on the right hand side here, this is the total daily energy expenditure of you. Okay, so your BMI, your basal metabolic rate, makes up sort of 60 to 75% of it. Your exercise makes up 5 to 10. Your NEAT, so your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, makes up between 15 and 20%. And thermo effect of food, so your TEF, is 10 to 15%. The more protein we have, the more we can affect this thermo effect of food because it has a higher thermo effect. So typically for every 100 calories that you eat of protein, you only probably absorb about 70 of that. And that comes from protein as a way of digesting it and utilizing it. It's just an expensive process when it comes to energy. It has the highest satiety rating out of the 3 macronutrients. So we know that protein keeps us fuller for longer. As a hormone production, so obviously everything that you have in your body is made up of amino acids and your cell walls and things like that. It cannot be stored, so this is why, and this is when we say you're going to have 2 grams per kilo. So you're going to, so for example, I have 175 grams of protein per day. I can't say, all right, it's 350 over 2 days. I can't say I'm going to have 300 on one day and 50 on the other day, because of that 300, a lot of it just gets siphoned off, broken down, deaminated and used as energy. And that 50 grams I'd be in a net protein breakdown on that day and I'd be losing muscle. We have different proteins, so we have complete and incomplete. So incomplete proteins typically come from vegan and vegetarian sources. Your complete sources are meat, dairy, fish, eggs, soy, and even quinoa to an extent, even though it's complete, it's just a shit protein source. And timing can come into this as well. So typically I advocate 4 protein servings per day, and typically I'd always promote having them at the same time. So I eat it between 6 and 7, half 11, half 3, and between 6 and 7. Those are my meal timing. I divide 175 by 4. So I have sort of 45 grams per serving. That's just how I do it and how I promote it to my clients and what I'd probably suggest. Fats. So fats are the one that gets demonized. Everybody has a go at them because they've got lots more calories than the other 2, but they do taste good and they are more beneficial than carbohydrates for health, not for performance. They are massive when it comes to hormone balance. So if you go on a low-fat diet and your calories are too low, your testosterone will go down as a male. Estrogen and progesterone balances will be off if you go too low as a female. They're allowed to have energy at low intensity energy exercise. So if you're going to go for a walk, you will be burning fat. A lot of people right now are going on about running doesn't burn fat, walking does. And that's true, but it has absolutely no bearing on overall fat loss. All right, they're just using fat as an energy source. and they're not even using body fat as an energy source. They use what we call intramuscular triglycerides, which is the fat held within the cell close to the mitochondria. So that argument's bullshit, just FYI. So if you see that, that person's in it. Great for immunity. So if you don't have enough fats, you will start becoming more ill. You will lack vitamin D storage, vitamin A, D, E, and K storage, as they're stored with fat. And vitamin D, we know, has a huge impact on immunity. All right, it's great for insulation because you have more body fat on you. You're going to be warmer. All right, that's why like bigger people, typically overweight people, can go on a night out in just a t-shirt and shorts and be absolutely fine, whereas leaner people will be laid up to the max. And when I prep and I get stupid lean for my photo shoot this year, it'll be 25 degrees and I'll still be wearing a hoodie. And if you have excess body fat, if you eat excess calories, the fats are the first thing that will be stored as what we call adipose tissue, which is basically just body fat. Carbs. These are technically non-essential. When people say, oh, you don't need carbs, we technically don't, but it's not through any scientific principle other than we can make carbohydrates ourselves. Basically, if we're lacking carbohydrates, your body will take protein and it'll go through deamination, so it'll get rid of the nitrogen. All right. So if you go on a low carb diet and you have loads of protein, you'll still smell like piss because it'll deaminate into ammonia and it'll come out through sweat. So you smell like piss. So if anybody around you smells like piss while they're on the treadmill, they've probably got a high protein, low carbohydrate diet. So proteins will go deaminated, and then it can go through something called gluconeogenesis, which is the creation of new glucose. So it basically takes the rest of the skeleton of the molecule and creates glucose out of it. Instead of getting it from external sources, we make it ourselves. All right, so technically it is non-essential, but we still utilize carbohydrates in the body. We still want carbohydrates in the body. It's just if you don't eat it, your body will make it itself. It's just a lengthier process and it makes you feel like shit. And it makes you smell of piss, don't forget. So it is our initial energy source. The reason that we use this at high intensity is because when carbohydrates are broken down into energy, it happens at a faster rate, so we get more energy quicker. We get less energy, all right, so it's less efficient than using fat as energy, but it gets it to us quicker, so we can work at a higher intensity and resynthesize that ATP as we need it. As we store it, so we store it in our muscle, we store it in our liver, and we store it in our blood. So your blood sugar levels, as most of you know, you want to keep them relatively similar. If they go too high, insulin come in. If they go too low, glucagon will come in. We store them in there, and majority of what we store will be in that muscle cell. And as we store it, we store 1 gram of carbohydrate with 3 grams of water. So this is where when people go onto a low carbohydrate diet after they've just been eating shit for a while, they'll lose 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds in a week because they've just lost a lot of water. And then they'll have a high carb meal and they'll be like, oh, put weight back on. It's water. All right. And because carbohydrates have something called fiber, which is the indigestible part of carbohydrates, I'll talk about in a sec. They're great for colon health, they're great for bowel health and gut health. And then fiber itself both increases and slows down the transit time depending on what fiber you have. So you've got soluble or insoluble. It's chronically undereaten because we just typically don't eat as much fruit and veg and sort of whole grains as we should because they all get demonized for some reason. And what happens is fiber goes in, as soon as it hits the small intestine, it gets converted into what we call a short chain fatty acid. After that, it gets reabsorbed and yields 2 calories per gram. All right, but it's classed as a prebiotic because it increases gut, bowel, and colon health. The distribution, like I said at the start, you want 1.5 to 2 grams per kilo of protein. So that's 120 to 160 grams per day for 80 kilos. Fats is 20 to 25, maybe even 30%. Like I said, 20 is the minimum. We can go anywhere up to 40, 50 with that, to be fair. But typically we'll sit between this 20 and 30% region and gives you sort of 50 to 80 roughly. Carbs is just the rest. And typically the importance, if you're going to look at the hierarchy of what we do, all right, calories are the whole reason that we would ever be in a position to lose body fat. All right, so if we're in a calorie deficit, we lose body fat. If we're in a calorie surplus, we increase body fat. Protein's then the most important, and then fats and carbs are there, and then you've got supplements and everything. Hope you found this helpful. Make sure you subscribe, like the video if you found it helpful. Any questions, give me a shout. If you want my fat loss guide, it is below. Don't hesitate. Like I said, 4G's 5-day free trial starts on the 23rd of March. If you want access to that, all you have to do is hit the link in my description and you will get priority access to everything starting that 23rd. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.